Over a cold beer after overtime, we're all here in the same state of mind. Time sure flies with good time and friends. Tell me a story, I'll buy another round. This place is clearing out, and we're getting loud, just getting started while they're trying to close. Whether it's whiskey or wine, we're gonna be here all night, right where we wanna be. Feeling so at ease, we're the last ones to leave. The last ones to leave.
Country music star Jeff Claiborne is in the house, and we're going to get an interview and hopefully some music coming up later on. How you doing, Jeff?
Doing good.
And
Great.
your drive, flight, all of that went well?
That's right. Yeah, love traveling. If you're in music business, you better like to travel. I'm kind of living that gypsy life right now, and it's great to see America. I love it.
Well, I dug up all kinds of dirt on you on the internet. I was researching you,
Oh, my gosh.
and it's all good.
You're a real journalist, aren't you?
But I didn't research the dark web, so maybe there's stuff out there.
Oh, no.
So some of the things I was able to find out about you, which I thought was pretty cool, is that you were a college athlete at one time.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah, I played the position of quarterback from year 8 to, I guess I was 21 or 22, and I finally got that injury that really made you think and wonder if you were good enough. You know, college football is like being in a car accident every weekend. You just come home and go, what in the world did I do?
Yeah.
And I still wake up today and feel little pains in certain places and go, you know, I remember that hit.
Yeah.
I remember when that guy landed on top of me. It was a rough game.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that you were quarterback, because when I was in high school, that was like my dream to be a quarterback on the football team.
Great.
And I had such a great arm. I could do the little spin when I threw the football. They didn't let girls on the team at that time. And now that I look at football players and how big they are, I'm like, maybe it was a good thing. Because when you're talking about the hits still affecting you today, I'm like, oh.
Yeah, and my neck. You know, we used to just work on our necks, and now that I'm a little older, I'm looking and going, man, my neck is just muscular. I don't want a big neck now. I don't need it, you know. You're like, but quarterback position is of course, a play calling leadership position. I learned all about life. It shaped who I am, and I always want to build teams, and I want to, I don't know, not call plays, but make up plays and know what everyone's doing, and it really did me a great service, as it is a lot of our young people growing up now.
Yeah, and I've been told that. I've been told that by other people that play sports, and even students of mine that play sports. They've told me that, you know, this has really taught me a lot of leadership. It teaches me teamwork. So sports is definitely important in the school system and everything. Something else that I found out about you is that you were part of a boys' choir. You were part of a choir at one time.
I can't believe that's out there. Yeah, Texas Boys Choir was also where I, learned to sing correctly. That was in the grade 3, and they came, and their pitch was, the Texas Boys Choir is famous. We sing at the White House, and we travel the world. And I was just, yes, I'm going to audition. My mom took me, and I sang My Country, 'Tis of Thee. I remember that. I was so nervous. But that was a great experience. You know, my dad was a minister. You probably found that too.
I did. I found that info out too.
He's a choir. He was in charge of all the music, youth choir, main choir in the church. So we were singers growing up.
Yeah.
So it was a big deal. I was the youngest of three, so I was afraid that I was not going to be able to sing. I do have another distinct memory where my brothers and my dad were practicing for a party or something, and they were singing a barbershop quartet. And he was a great teacher. And I started to pipe in too, and they all looked at me and went, shh. I went, oh no, everybody can sing but me.
Yeah. See, but you're out there singing now.
Well, and then I took it more serious. That might have been a great influence on me. I said, I'll show them. So,
yeah. You're youngest. You want to prove
Don't
your chops.
shh me.
And I think one more thing that I thought was pretty interesting that I found out about you is that you studied broadcasting and film, and that you wanted to be a sports broadcaster. Is that correct?
That's right. Yes. Yeah. I grew up wanting to be in show business no matter what. I can remember my first Broadway play. I can remember going to theater. My mom exposed us to the arts. She even took me to a tap dancing school one time, and it was all girls. And I said, no, thank you. And I was young. I just said, I'm not just going to be the only guy in there. Now I would. Today I would.
Yeah.
You know, but I thought that I would be a play-by-play football announcer or some type of presenter of music. I wanted to DJ. I just wanted to learn the business of show business. So when I did finish football at the University of Colorado, came back to TCU in Fort Worth, and they had a great program. They had a huge studio, and they had radio studios, and I said, this is for me. So I enrolled there at TCU and then came out with that degree and with a production track. So I did some work around Dallas-Fort Worth, did some sports work, and then went immediately to Hollywood.
Okay.
Yeah, just ran off to Hollywood.
And so now, do you find that education that helps you now as a musician? Are you able to do a lot of your own production work? Yes, no?
Well, production work, I leave that to the experts. I took that turn in Hollywood. I found out a lot about, I knew from my studies that when the business of music and the creative part of art, film, any type of art meet, there's a war at the top of that circle where business tells you what's going to sell, and then art really doesn't care. It just wants to be good and communicate. I wanted to see what that battle was like at the top. So I went to both sides. I worked in agencies. I worked on studio lots. I did acting. I did auditioning. I just got my master's degree on the street in California, and it all helped. And it helped me decide what track I wanted to go in. I also started playing guitar in LA, and then played at the beach bars there, Malibu and Marina Del Rey and Hermosa, and at all the beaches. And it just was always asking guys to come and girls to come sing with me and trying to get bands together. And then I said, yeah, that's the side I think I will enjoy the most. But yes, of course it's good to know the other side.
Sure.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the business of it. And I think sometimes as artists, we think, oh, I just want to create my art and have it be out there. But it really is a business. I mean, you kind of have to know a little bit of the business side of it, too.
Right. I think you have to be able to, well, it's kind of a cheesy word, but communicate. I think all artists have a need to say something, to communicate, to listen, to absorb, and get that back and forth going. And there is the business part of it. So if you know the business part of it, you'll naturally communicate with the money side of things and might be able to make a living.
Okay.
No, if it's modest or big, you know, I don't care where this takes me. I just want to express myself. And I think every artist has that. And then some get into a bigger part of the business than they want to be in. You know, they look back and go, wow, this is great. And all this, but man, you know, I'd be fine just playing a couple clubs here and there.
Yeah,
So,
well,
you know, you never know.
It's great being able to do what you love to do.
Yeah.
You know,
I think that's important. I think I believe personally that that's the objective and goal of life, is to, if you want to parent, you want to be a dad, you want to be a mom, you want to explore your art, you find something that you're kind of good at and you have an interest, and let that passion build and work at what you want to do. That's what makes life fun. And I think you stay healthier doing that.
Yeah. Now, something that I just got done listening to this week was your latest single called Last Ones to Leave. I love it. It's
Well, thank
shooting
you.
up the charts. And one of the things that I also read about you or looked up and found out is that storytelling is important to you when it comes to writing music and everything. So with the Last Ones to Leave, tell us all about that.
Yeah, I love storytelling. I love stories. I'm a big Audible subscriber. You know?
Okay.
I love people to read me to sleep. I like to hear a story going down the highway. When we were in Hollywood, we would read scripts. I would read at one point for about 4 years. I would read 5-10 scripts a week and understand the catch at the top, the first 20 pages, and whether I was interested in the characters. Last Ones to Leave is about just that, being the last one to leave at a party or a bar. I found myself in that situation many times. We worked late. My producer Chuck Ebert and I were sitting down at dinner in Nashville, and we looked around again and said, look at this. Every single time we're the last ones to eat, we're the last ones to leave. They're stacking tables, sweeping under our feet, and giving us that look. And I said, this is a song. And just a lot of people will identify with this, so let's write it. We started writing, and we wrote in a writing room, and it wasn't far from Waylon Jennings' office. And Chuck worked in that office when he was doing some early work in Nashville. And I said, let's make this a Waylon song, something that Waylon would be proud to sing, even in that key. And let's just bring it with that deep, having a beer at overtime, and real kind of manly, fun song, but mostly about going and hanging out and being yourself, being around good friends, time flying. All of a sudden the lights come up and you're sitting there. It just happens so much. So I'm glad it's working out. I'm glad people like it.
Yeah, well, and even when I was listening to it, I'm like, man, I've been there where, maybe it's friends you haven't seen in a long time, and you're like, oh, last call, or you're sitting at the restaurant, it's 2 a.m., and you're like, no, I don't want to go. I don't want this to end. I want us to still converse and everything.
I love that about time. It depends on what you're doing, and you're with great people and having fun when you lose track of time.
Yeah.
If you're playing sports, if you're working on your passion, if you're doing something you love to do with your family or whatever, time flies. It's fun.
So I have a question for you. We've been talking about different artists, and one of them was John Coltrane, and we were talking about. Right. So who are your biggest musical influences?
Oh gosh, biggest. I get asked that question, and I have to go back to the story where my dad was a minister. And you remember Led Zeppelin came out, Aerosmith, Kiss. Everybody started growing their hair out longer. The 60s were a crazy movement, crazy moment in history. And the 70s was a time where music was kind of wild, kind of free. And it scared my dad. And he knew that we wanted to be musicians. We all had that aptitude. And he discouraged it. He said, let's play sports. Let's get into sports. That's a loser business. He thought that was the sign of the times.
Okay.
So he kind of made sure we were listening to pretty normal music, that he would call it. Everything from John Denver to, I listened to the Jacksons. I got into Motown. And I have influences from Marvin Gaye and Teddy Pendergrass and Luther Vandross, and they just all the funk guys. My first concert of all things was, my parents didn't know who Parliament Funkadelic was, but they wouldn't let me go to Kiss, but they let me go to Parliament. I was the only white. Me and my buddy were the only white guys in the stadium, and loving it. Just any kind of expression. So I knew that I wanted to be a soulful singer, and I was copying all of those guys. So when I heard Conway Twitty, and heard George Jones, and of course Elvis, I noticed that it was okay to put soul in country music, and it was storytelling. And so I would just sit in the car while my mom ran errands, and I would, in the heat of the summer in Texas, and have my jeans and my boots and my hat on and just sit out there, sit on the hood of the car and just turn that stuff up and just let it blare and just be singing. And I just knew that I would be writing songs someday. So I learned that craft and then just worked into it.
Yeah.
So many. Kenny Rogers,
Yeah.
Lionel Richie.
And so,
Those guys.
and so, do you find that it depends on the song that you write, that what influences you're putting into the song, or it just kind of comes out? What do you?
I think it just comes out. I think that the presentation of the song is most important. If you're gonna sing it. Sing something that you really believe in. Don't just do a song because you can hit the note.
Yeah.
It's got to come from the heart. Then that's something that's intangible that people really feel, an honesty. It's what I also love about country music is you can, not that rock or soul is not coming from the heart, but country, you can feel it. You
Yeah.
can feel it in deep, great R&B songs too. You know,
Yeah.
Anita Baker, another huge influence for me.
Yeah.
She's an influence for a lot of people. But I think it comes out in your writing, and you want to be truthful and authentic, and that's what makes you happy night after night. If you're doing songs, as long as they're honest, you're really communicating. If you're doing things someone else wants you to do, or if you're copying songs, which I've done that. I've done all the covers and the dance bands and all that. I was not near as happy as I am now doing my own material.
Yeah. Well, and there's a great thing about covers. I mean, you learn like all those different techniques and stuff when
Sure.
you're doing covers, but it's so awesome to be able to be up on stage doing your own stuff, being able to connect with people too.
Yeah. And I encourage anybody to do it. Just start out. One out of every 10 songs that you pen is going to be something that somebody wants to hear. Just do it. Just observe and write, and it just becomes a muscle that continues to work. You'll hear phrases, you'll make a rhyme, and you'll just start writing it down and then put it with music, and then get out and go to these open mics and express yourself. It's a great way to live.
Yeah. So here's a related question. If we tapped into Jeff Claiborne's playlist, who would we find you listening to?
Ooh. I've got about 9,000, 10,000 songs. Who would I listen to the most? Goodness gracious. I put it on the songs list, and I hit random. And I see who's there and what they have, and sometimes I'll let that dictate my mood for the day. So I have film score. I love John Williams and some of the great Hans Zimmer and some of the great we lost a couple of good ones here recently too. I like film score and jazz because it teaches me harmony and composition as I listen. And instead of analyzing and worrying about what I'm doing, I'm learning from masters. So I love classical.
Yeah.
But every week I'll take an artist and really get into him. Billie Holiday recently, George Jones. I warm up and sing with George Strait. I'm in that same kind of tonality and range that he has, so it's easy to warm up. When I'm driving to the studio, I'll put George Strait on.
Okay.
Alabama was a huge influence to me. Lionel Richie, same range. I stole a lot from Lionel Richie and Randy Owen from Alabama, so that deep South feel. Leonard Skinner.
Leonard Skinner.
I like Van Halen. I like the party bands, the energy. Depends on what I'm doing.
So just depends on the day and what you're feeling and everything.
Yeah, I think you limit yourself. There's so much great music and art out there. Just broaden your horizons. Listen to it all.
Yeah.
You'll be so glad you did.
Yeah. Well, something else that I found out about you on the web, a little bit more dirt, is that you love giving back, that you really are involved in charity work. And so I have two questions for you based on this. Why is it important to you? And then tell us a recent story.
Art gives you a great platform to reach out. Show business, I'm not going to use as an excuse not to be married and not to have children, but it kept me so busy and traveling so much
Mm-hmm.
that I didn't connect with a woman that I was that wanted to do all of that with me.
Uh-huh.
And if I'm going to get married, I'm going to have somebody that wants to do that.
Yeah.
So without my own family, I have more time
Mm-hmm.
to give and to find causes. And again, my dad wanted me to follow him into the ministry.
Yeah.
The church was always a big thing growing up, and I almost did. 2 big times in my life, I interviewed ministers from all over the United States and everybody that had worked with my dad and another great friend in California, and just decided to do the ministry from the street, basically,
Mm-hmm.
and not from the church. So whenever I can see need or see where I would fit, I guess
Mm-hmm.
I want to choose causes and charities that are well organized and that would fit me and that I would help.
Mm-hmm.
My personality. So children, pets, love to try to find pets homes, but not having children, you want to kind of reach out to those that need parenting, need mentorship,
Mm-hmm.
and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Visited the Ronald McDonald House. Very interesting group. How they take care of moms and families when they can't afford to, or they have emergencies or sick babies. They'll take care of them and house them and make it really easy for them to go back and forth to the hospital. That was a great one.
Yeah.
Variety Charities does everything from building bicycles and giving them away
Uh-huh.
to my goodness, stewardships through hospitals and just showing up for someone that's in a hospital and laid up for a while. I've been there too.
Yeah.
And just having somebody come in with a positive attitude just to lighten up the day. It's
Mm-hmm.
just little things that you can take a break to do.
Yeah.
St. Jude's. Forgetting some of the names of the hospitals, but I was working with some amputee children that had amputees,
Mm-hmm.
and they were so hungry for just someone to play with.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so disappointed when you would leave. It was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
You were just torn apart because you got to know each other in 30 minutes, 45 minutes, so much they're like, all right, you're cool, stay and play with me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make more time to do that as I go along.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's a ministry. Music can be a ministry if you really are writing honestly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the great thing too about music is that it heals you. You know, when you're listening to music, whether you're listening to it from the aspect of, oh, I'm really happy, I want to hear a happy song,
Mm-hmm.
or when you're in that sad, man, I just got somebody broke up with me, we got that
Yep.
song that can help kind of heal
Mm-hmm.
the heart, so to speak.
You identify with, it's the human experience.
Mhm.
Get into it. It's what the blues are all about.
Yeah.
Enjoy the blues. Learn. Go ahead and go through this grief or this depression and come out of it better.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
we've all done it. It's
Mhm.
part of the experience. Don't think about not coming out the other side. You always do. You always
Yeah.
do. So, and music scientifically, it'll have little, as you know, it resolves. You know, like a
Mhm.
minor will have some tension and some
Yeah.
darkness,
Yeah.
and then you'll have sevens and different types of intervals that work to finally come home to a
Mhm.
chorus, come home to
Yeah.
the end of a chorus, so you feel, oh, what, and then it lands you safely, and it just does that over and over, so you feel like there's a resolution to your problem. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know, maybe I get too much into it, but
Oh no,
It
I
helps me.
think it's awesome. I think it's great. You know, music is, at least one of the things that I learned is that when you're listening to music and playing music, that it activates everything in your brain. I mean, I just think that's
Yeah.
fascinating.
I
So,
do too.
yeah.
I love it, and playing it too.
Mhm.
Every single, it's like running. You're using every muscle.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great.
So what are you
Yeah,
going to play
off
for
of
us
that
today?
conversation, huh? Kind of think of something that goes with what we're talking about. This is a song that a good friend of mine brought to me. His name's Grant Malloy Smith. We do most of our own writing, but I am always looking for songs that move me. And you find songs that you wish you wrote.
Mhm.
You'll hear artists say that a lot. But Grant wrote this song and he played it, and I said, man, I'm recording that. You can let me release it. You can not let me release it. You can make it yours. But he said, no, you can do it. I'd be proud to have you do it. It's called I Reckon, and it really means a lot to me, and I'll never get tired of playing this one. See what you think. I did my homework every night. Went to college once or twice. Still like the sharpest knife in the kitchen drawer. Every time I went astray, I always heard my daddy say, boy, don't forget the work you were put here for. Wiser men than me should preach. Still I got something I can teach. These aren't things that I found. I'm just passing them on down. There's a kinder word to say, a better way to pray, I reckon. Hope in every smile, loving every child, I reckon. The higher up you climb, the bigger hills you find, I reckon. That's what my daddy said, I reckon. I got a job and bought a truck. Found a girl who shook me up. We turned these bricks into a loving home. Bills come, babies cry. We make up after every fight, and Dad always said, life ain't like a TV show. And wiser men than me should preach. Still I got something I can teach. These are things that I found. I'm just passing them on down. There's a kinder word to say, a better way to pray, I reckon. Hope in every smile, loving every child, I reckon. The higher up you climb, the bigger hills you find, I reckon. Yeah, that's what my daddy said, I reckon. Got a boy, he's 23. He finally opened up to me. He told me, Dad, I need a word or two. You see, I met a girl, we had some fun. I think she may be the one. I said, son, life ain't like a TV show. I reckon, yeah, that's what my daddy said, I reckon. That's what my daddy said, I reckon.
Wow. Beautiful song. That is beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
And so I've got Jeff CLAYBORN in the house, and he has a hit out there called Last Ones to Leave. We're going to record that, put that up on our Facebook page, so you'll get to see him playing that in just a few minutes. And the other thing, Jeff, how do people get a hold of you? How do they find you?
Thank you. Yeah, it's jeffclayborn.com. Best place to start. We've got all the social media buttons there to push, take you right to where we are. We're pretty much everywhere. I've got such a great team. You know, It's not my first time around, but it's my best time around. I've got a team that I really love. My producer, Chuck Ebert, has helped me find this voice, my voice, and really dug in, and we found the true voice. And he means a lot to me, has helped me do this. So thank you, Chuck. And on that website, you can go to the Cantina Crowd,
Okay.
which is a little button at the top, of course, and get on a mailing list where we won't hound you, but we'll tell you where we are. We'll talk about Europe, talk about the tour coming up here in the States, and the band that when and why we're rehearsing and who we're riding with. And then I'll have a little blog called JC's Barstool, and we'll talk a little bit about, what you and I have been discussing, and
Okay,
just kind of
awesome.
talk about daily events. So all of that's coming. And so just jeffclayborn.com, best place to start.
Awesome. Well, it was great to have you in the studio, and
Thank
looking
you.
forward to seeing all the stuff